Shalom, all praise to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushua, Ba'Shem Harakah Kadash, the one who said the apostles of great millstone that rule well, and Shalom to the prophets in the work and sincerity and truth. Um, got this article on the New York Post, and it's interesting because, well, I'll read the title. It says, Major signs of another coming dark age. Collapse in the West could make history repeat. And it's amusing because, what does it say? Signs of another coming dark age. Obviously the Dark Ages they're talking about is when Jake was ruling. Throughout the collapse of the Roman Empire into like the Holy Roman Empire and Byzantium as they call it. So it's interesting they're talking about another signs of a coming Dark Age because obviously it's Jake rule is what's set up to come, but then unlike the prior rule, this won't be done through righteousness. Um, So this is what Western civilization is funny as well because the whole discussion, the whole kind of like where they talk about like over dark age versus what do you call it, a dark age versus the modern kind of society that's based upon all the the Greek and Roman kind of philosophies is just like the most terrible horrific kind of thing that could possibly happen. But the truth of the matter is that what has been started with Esau with that civilization was what wickedness, man. Because as it says with within in First Maccabees, you know, after the Greeks took power, evils were multiplied in the earth, and these guys are trying and glorifying. I think, oh, well, I'll read on because as you can see in the first few paragraphs, they're already doing that. So it says Western civilization arose in Greece, in the 8th century BC, when some 1,500 city-states emerged from a murky, illiterate 400-year dark age. And it's funny as well because this is the justifications that Esau, especially in America, they've been doing it. They'll say like, oh, us going over to America and taking the land, we'll clean them up, we'll teach them things, we brought civilization, we brought technology, we brought these things, well, we took the land, but it was a good thing we took the land, justifying their wickedness, man. The what's it? They hold themselves not guilty, man. I believe this really the mindset. They're in the mindset where they've done no wrong, and if they did wrong, it was good actually. It says what Western civilization arose in Greece in 8th century BC when some 1,500 city-states emerged from a murky, illiterate 400-year dark age. The chaos followed the utter collapse of the palatial culture of Mycenaean Greece. But what re-emerged were constitutional government, rationalism, liberty, freedom of expression, self-critique, and free markets, and what we know now as a foundation of a unique Western civilization. And it's funny because they talk about that, but then what happened when they got the rule? They put crowns upon their heads and they bared rule, man. And just as the breakdown was given to Israel, where it's like if you have a king, he's gonna he's gonna go tell your kids to die. He's gonna have power of life or death over you. That's the same thing that came with that. They're talking constitutional government, bro. It's the way them government that was some of the Greek states had that, but then even then, a lot of those collapsed under the ones that had the military dictatorships that had kings and whatnot. But the way they present it, it's all about the narrative. It's a spin, and it's something that it's just in the world. It would have just started sunk in, or civilization began with the Greeks. Meanwhile, whatever, the all the nations that came before, whatever Israel was doing off in their land, whatever the Babylonians were doing, whatever the Persians were doing, it was all backwards confusion. It was just once the Greeks came in, then it's like, oh, these are the things that we should honor. It says the Roman Republic inherited and enhanced the Greek model. And yeah, even with them, what happened? It collapsed to an empire, and then the empire bared rule, sent sent man off to conquer. Like, what are we talking about? But it says for millennium, the Republic and subsequent Roman Empire spread Western culture, eventually to be inseparable from Christianity. From the Atlantic to the Persian Gulf, and from the Rhine and Danube to the Sahara, were a million square miles of safety, prosperity, progress, and science, until the collapse of the Western Roman Empire in the 5th century AD. It's funny because, Jake was ruling up in that as well, but it's just it's narratives. It's basically meant to just be unbroken Esau. Edom was just unbroken, but then even the Dark Ages was Esau as well. But then they just decided, like, they were just all those things we love, let's just stop doing that. So what followed was the Second European Dark Age, roughly from 500 to 1000 AD. Populations declined, cities eroded, Roman roads, aqueducts, and laws crumbled. In place of the old Roman, and even the laws. What was it? It was Ronald Reagan, I think, that said, not the law of the jungle, because that's how they look at the ancient world, the ancient customs. So, it's the law of the jungle. We got the new laws. Meanwhile, what's Esau's laws? Wickedness, confusion. Fucking hell. A man's guilty of something, but then it's just like, oh no, as long as your lawyers are legendary, then you can just play with the shit, and then do 6 months and cushy cell, and then you're out, man. What does it say? In place of the old Roman provinces, arose tribal chieftains and fiefdoms, and just made it just the most like, man, were just smashing sticks on rocks, building huts, during this time, obviously, but that's why it's this is again why people can't even see society without Esau and Raw. They're like, damn, so we're just gonna, it's like, without him, what can we do? Whoa, what can we do? Oh no, we're lost, we're confused. We just, all I can do is just eat bananas and swing on trees, man. Like, what the fuck am I meant to do? Like his sciences, like his studies, what could we, nah, bro, come on, bro. Give me a break. It's like, well, this guy's the basis of men out here. Like, what are we doing, bro? So it says, tribal chieftains and fiefdoms. Whereas once Roman law had protected even rural people in remote areas during the Dark Ages, walls and stone were only means of keeping safe. And said Roman law protected even, man, they're glorifying them. So, bro, what are you talking about? I'm gonna do whatever the fuck they want to do in the sticks, and they still do. Like, what? Like Esau's fucking lion protecting no one over. What are we talking about, bro? Where's Jack the Ripper at, bro? Get him out. Finally, at the end of the 11th century, the old values and the know-how of the complex world of Greco-Roman civilization gradually re-emerged. The slow rebirth was energized by the humanists and scientists of the Renaissance, the Reformation, and eventually the 200-year European Enlightenment. And that's what, they call it. Basically dredging up all Esau's old philosophy, a lot of it based off, ancient witchcrafts as well. And, they've done the PR. The PR is, the Renaissance, the rebirth, the Reformation. They have the pictures of like, these Greeks, they had it all right, all that shit, but throw it all out. I say, get it in the bin. And they're saying, it weren't Esau ruling, man. This guy fucking went back to the Greeks and the Romans to be like, yeah, these guys was the dons. And just them. Just Idumea. Fucking hell. Contemporary Americans do not believe that our current civilization could self-destruct a third time in the West, followed by an impoverished and brutal Dark Age. Yeah, impoverished, it's just like, as soon as Esau's system ends, as soon as it's done, it's just like, man, it's just going to be like a bomb, like all them post-apocalyptic scenarios. There's some bombed out shithole. There's just like the leftovers of skyscrapers and whatnot. No one could ever do any kind, there's ancient wonders. There's the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. There's the pyramids. There's all these different kind of ancient wonders. But no one's ever going to build anything ever again after ESOS. They're just gonna look at the skyscrapers, be like, "How did they do it? What could we do?" That's all they're gonna be meditating on in their mind. Because it's just gonna be that fucked up, man. It's just gonna be that wild. Because it's like Esau's not here. What could we do? It says, but what caused these prior returns to tribalism and loss of science, technology, and the rule of law? Historians cite several causes of societal collapse, and today they are hauntingly familiar. Like people, society's age, complacency sets in. The hard work and sacrifice that built the West also create wealth and leisure. Such affluence is taken for granted by later generations. What created success is eventually ignored or even mocked. Expenditures and consumption outpace income and production and investment. Child rearing, additional value, strong defense, love of country, religiosity, meritocracy, and empirical education fade away. The middle class of autonomous citizens disappears. Society bifurcates between a few lords and many peasants. Tribalism, the pre-civilizational bonds based on race, religion, or shared appearance re-emerge. National government fractures into regional and ethnic enclaves. Borders disappear. Mass migrations are unchecked. The old bane of anti-Semitism. Fucking hell. What? Man, what? That's funny. Man said anti-Semit. That's what. So back when the Greeks and the Romans collapsed. What fucking year was that? That is fucking funny, bro. What were the Greeks and the Romans doing to Judea? Like, what are we talking about here? You fucking Wally. Oh, but it's thingy is Amalek's the ultimate victim, bro. If Amalek's a victim, it's a wrap. There is no greatness to be found within society. Oh, that's funny. Man said, fucking hell. If I give you that Amalek was ancient Hebrews, then what was happening in Judea? What was going down with the Romans and the Greeks dealing with Judea? Like, what are we talking about here, bro? Like, them man were persecuting them. Them had them in subjection. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? Them man was subjects. Fucking hell, bruv. But it's why it's just narratives. The currency inflates, losing its value and confidence. General crassness in behavior, speech, dress, and ethics replaces prior norms. Transportation, communications, and infrastructure all decline. The end is near when the necessary medicine is seen as worse than the disease. And it's funny as well, because a lot of these things apply to the West. But then other nations like China's, knuckled down on a lot of these things, man. It's really Esau that's feeling the burn with these things. Like, it's the curses are being put on him, man. It's his women out here doing the madness. It's his people that, they had that reverence. They had that supposed aura as far as perception of others around them. But now it's these things are done. So the end is near when the necessary medicine is worse than disease. As such, it was life around 450 AD in Western Europe. The contemporary West might have very similar red flags. Fertility has died well below 2.0 in almost every Western country. Public debt is nearing unsustainable levels. The dollar and euro have lost much of their purchasing power. It's common in universities to damn to honor the gifts of the Western intellectual past. Yet the reading and analytical skills of average Westerners and Americans in particular steadily decline. Can the general population even operate or comprehend the ever more sophisticated machines and infrastructure that an elite group of engineers and scientists creates? The citizen loses confidence in an often corrupt elite who neither will protect their nation's borders nor spend sufficient money on collective defense. The cures are scorned. Do we dare address spiraling deficits, unsustainable debt, corrupt bureaucracies, and entitlements? Even mention of reform is screened as greedy, racist, cruel, even fascist and Nazi. So it's, now we're just talking about, just modern politics. But Function is saying, the situations that led to the end of well, it's in the Western Roman Empire, but it's, Jake was up in there already, but um, you know, what began with with Esau, that empire, and same for the Greeks. That's the thing, is the reason, like, ultimately, that you're correct, that so-called dark age is coming, that so-called end is coming, but why it's coming is because it's prophecy. That's the reason why. You're correct in recognizing the symptoms, as far as this place is on its way out, man. This place is cooked, it's washed, it's fried, it's flipped, turned upside out, it's done. But why is it's going to be difficult. So Isaiah 24:1, it says, "Behold, the Lord Yahweh maketh the earth empty, and maketh it waste, and turneth it upside down, and scattereth abroad the inhabitants thereof." And it's funny because Esau talks about the end of his system, like it's done. Like, why even live? Why even be on the planet Earth? Why even exist? It's just gonna be it's gonna be nothing. No one's gonna be able to farm grain. No one's gonna be able to herd sheep. No one's gonna be able to put to thread clothing together. No one's gonna be able to put to sew shoes. No one's gonna be able to construct a shed. It's just gonna be nothing. It's just gonna be man downtrodden, done out. It's like, why is Esau gone now, America? Man, give me a fucking break. And turneth it upside down, and scattereth abroad the inhabitants thereof. And it shall be as with the people, so with the priest, as with the servant, so with his master, as with the maid, so with her mistress, as with the buyer, so with the seller. So, on every level, the guy that's in the back room, slaving away, moving them boxes around. And then, the guy that owns the building, owns the business as well, all on every level. They're going to be feeling that same squeeze, that same pain, man. Because what does it say? As with the borrower, so with the borrower, as with the taker of usury, so with the giver of usury to him. The land shall be utterly emptied and utterly spoiled, for the Lord Yahweh hath spoken this word. The earth mourneth and fadeth away. The world languisheth and fadeth away. The haughty people of the earth do languish. Yeah, the general sentiment on Earth is fading away. It's funny because it's not just in the West. China's doing better in a lot of these aspects, but then same for them. They're tied in anyway with Esau's system. They're like an accessory to it. They're added onto it. Their kind of prominence is also built off those same systems Esau's system runs on. So they're tied in, man, for its destiny. And they're seeing a future as far as taking up, the role Esau's playing in the world right now. That's what they're kind of betting on. But the whole world's languishing. The birth rate is down outside of, like, I think Africa and the Middle East. Like, all the so-called, what they call them, first world countries, the birth rate's ruined. Because why? As far as all the people have an idea of what they think their life's gonna be within the Western world. They think they're gonna be able to have wife, kids, dog, white picket fence, 2 cars, etc. A vision of the 50s or the 60s. But that's been done for a minute. There was a last gasp. Twice. You had it in post 9/11 kind of time, after the dot-com bubble burst, where the war, was it military industrial complex, was grinding up. Then after the 2008 crash, you kind of had it grind back up, like 2013, 2014, and then have a little run until C19 came and did it. But since then, it seems like the representations of what they're saying, like, oh, the economy's doing well, the numbers, what they're recording, what they're putting out, and saying, oh, it's people should be living good lives. But people can feel the burn. Cost of everything's gone up. The mobility, as far as been thinking, okay, I'm gonna go from being working class to middle class, they're realizing that shit ain't gonna happen. That shit is a myth. A lot of these things have come to an end, man. And that's not just in the West, that's all over. In China, they got the, what is it called, the laying down protests. They got in like various parts. It's man, in India, there's Indian engineers, Indian tech is revered all around the world, but there's too many of them, man. So even if they go into all these companies, you got Elon Musk fighting Trump, with the man got swords out, and man, Elon got a fucking uppercut. Elon got the punch that the AJ used to break Jake Paul's jaw from Donald Trump. When that man fucking had a falling out because why he needed to bring that man in. But then even then, there's millions upon millions of them in India where they're thinking, oh, there's gonna be some form of place for them to go out and build some fortune or whatever. But as far as it's the whole earth, everyone's feeling that burn, man. It says the earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they've transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore hath the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate, and therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left. So yeah, it's gonna lead to the ultimate destruction, man. And that's the final end goal of where ESO shit's going to, man. That's what a lot of people don't. They're thinking, it's just, it's gonna bounce back. Yeah, people thought Brexit. The Brexit was what, 2016. People thinking 2016, vote Brexit. So we take our waters back, take our laws back. Bro, you don't know what a fucking European law is, you fucking ape. Why the fuck do you have 28 days of holiday? Come on, man. Bro, it's like them Americans wish they had 28 days of holiday. 28 days of holiday, shit, a year. Like, well, what are we doing here? But, people are simple. They don't really look into things. And that's why they're not able to recognize. And you've been denied the knowledge of the scriptures. Because it comes down to prophecy, man. So Daniel 4:17, it says, this matter is by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basis of men. And that's the core thing you kind of need to know with dealing with the system, man. This system has been granted, it's been given. And then what the Most High ruleth, man. So Most High is basically granting that kingdom, that rule to whosoever he desires. And then as it says, set up over it the basis of men. That's who we're dealing with. We're in the rule of the basis of men, which is why, everything's backwards, everything's confused. And even in the midst of that, people are still clinging to that confusion like it's righteousness, like it's enlightenment, like it's truth, like it's going to serve them in the long run. You got examples of people dropping dead or their investment within the system, within trust, within certain things, then just gets found to be, it was a waste of time, it was a flop, give it up. And that's what you're going to have in the modern day as well. You're going to have that surely we inherited lies, man. Because a lot of people, they've inherited them lies, man. They're holding to them. They're clinging to them. But, what's the same, man? Surely we inherited lies. Fucking crazy. Man, we're really going to be down. Read this Daniel 5 and 22, and it says, the writing on the wall. So it says, and thou his son, O Belshazzar, hast not humbled thine heart, that thou, though thou knewest all this, but hast lifted up thyself against the Lord of heaven, and have brought the vessels of his house before thee, and thou and thy lords, thy wives, and thy concubines have drunk wine in them, and thou hast praised the gods of silver and gold, of brass, iron, wood, and stone, which see not, nor hear, nor know, on the God in whose hand thy breath is, and whose are all thy ways hast thou not glorified. So yeah, they've basically been giving honor unto the idols, not giving honor unto the Most High, and then they're using um, the vessels from the temple, just to drink out of, to celebrate. Then the writing came on the wall. But then it says, then was a part of the hand sent from him, and this writing was written, and this is the writing that was written, and this now it's for the elite, that writings on the wall as far as their kingdom, man. The fact that this is falling into just like common use of language shows the power of the story, man. And this is the writing that was written. Many, many tackle fasten. This is the interpretation of the thing. Many, the Most High have gathered, have numbered thy kingdom and finished it. Tekel, thou art weighed in the balances and art found wanting. Peres, thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. Yeah, these are the things, the writings on the wall for this place. They were lining up and showing like, oh, what's the parallels between, when the ancient Roman Empire fell, and then what's the same thing with, back in the time of the ancient Greeks as well, or before the former state. You want to know what the parallel is? They're worshiping wood and stone. They weren't giving honor to the Most High. They were found weighed in the balances and found wanting, and their kingdom's going to be divided. Then Daniel 7:18, the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom. That's, as far as for now, now's the time for the saints to take the kingdom. So that's who it's going to be divided against, with Yahweh Shai and the elect, man, the joint heirs. I'll finish on this, man. Isaiah 16:1, it says, "What? Arise, shine, for thy lights come, and the glory of the Lord Yahweh is risen upon thee. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people." And that's the real truth of the matter. As far as for, right now is the time where, darkness is covering the earth, gross darkness the people. Because why? It's all, it's a ruse, man. As far as, it's like I said, a narrative just pushing, oh, now's a time where darkness is abounding. Really, it's BS. He's still saying that, but like, let's get to the truth of the matter. This guy's got the rule. What's happening underneath him? Nothing but confusion, man. Nothing but mess. His Lord just seen upon the so-called light, the big technology they always, tout. What we talk is like, the internet, social media, the different apps, these different technologies have ruined people's critical thinking skills, ruining people's reasoning skills, and, they're functionally losing a lot of things that, people think aren't, aren't meaningful. But then the truth of the matter is it's, as necessary, as essential. People are, think, it's just funny because, especially with AI, the school system anyway is dog shit. But then even on like the uni level, like there's people that graduate, like there was just funny because during the pandemic, during the lockdowns, there was like when they were doing the remote learning dog shit, there's people that did their exams, but then they would have done their exams, I believe, from home. So it would have been super easy to cheat. So it's like a lot of those degrees of basically ain't worth shit. And then even on top of that as well, like a lot of like studying people have done since AI has come out, they're supposed to be learning, but then because they're supposed to be learning, but then because they can just use AI, they'll not actually learn methodologies. A lot of the programmers and whatnot where, you know, it's easy to just kind of be like, okay, well, I'll just get that to do my work and finish it. But then it's like, if you do that in through the process of time, you're not actually going to learn the techniques. So then, you know, it will ruin you in the long run. And that's how a lot of these things are. It's like even social media, you have a lot of kids where the way they engage with technology is just that endless engagement. But it like ruins your attention span, ruins your ability to reason. It's funny as well because even was a movie Limitless kind of has an example of that because they have what is it, NZT, the drug they take where it like turns their brain up and gets their brain using like you know, going into to overdrive, overclocking their brain functionally. But then, you know, you do that for too long and then your brain loses the ability, it just burns it out, loses the ability to kind of operate normally. And you just have to think with like the levels of stimulation you're getting from modern technologies, modern like on phones, when you're dealing with TikTok, when you're dealing with shorts, when you're dealing with reels, you can just swipe, and it's all short, very engaging, high energy. And then there might be interesting things there. There might be notes, there might be things to learn, there might be whatnot. Not that there's not. Of course, you can always have engaging and meaningful things there, but then the other side of it is what do you call it? The other side of it is that because you get you know you get overstimulated for you to then just be like, okay, let me just read like a book or something, not with like little to no stimulation. You're gonna then struggle because your brain wants some novelty, wants some new things. You know, there's a lot of ways in which, you know, the modern age it seems like it's legendary, but the joke and the reality of it is most people, you know, if they're on a farm in the sticks, you know, wife, kids, they might have a few hobbies. They might do some horse riding, might do some hunting, might do some woodworking. They might do some whatever. You know, you got things to do. They might have like a community they fuck with. They might go down, you know, to the river and then do a fucking dance some salsa on the river. You know, there's all kinds of things they could kind of do, but a slower paced, quieter, less engaged life, you know, away from these modern forms of technology Esau's produced is gonna be fine for most people. But then, you know, because they're so engrossed in these systems, they can't really see like a way. How could I be away from, you know, they're cooked, man. Yeah. That's why a lot of people are gonna hold with Esau, man. They're gonna get that mark with ease, man. But yeah, what does it say? And the Gentiles shall come to thy light, and kings to the brightness of thy coming. Lift up thine eyes round about and see, all they gather themselves together. They come to thee, thy sons shall come from far, and thy daughters shall be nursed by thy side. So yeah, it goes into, you know, the wards of the kingdom. Really the point was in, you know, just the darkness and the light, you know, the light shining upon those are the hopeful elect right now. Those are out here doing this work, pushing the truth out there. And the fact that things like, you know, the mark, it's like you talk to, and he had a bug out come to the camp. And it's like we asked him what the mark was. Then he was able to recognize it was, you know, the sea hit. But then it's, you know, you ask this group guys that are meant to be Israelites, are meant to know the scriptures, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. They'll come in with something completely different, saying it's that. Which is then just like you think like what the fuck is going on here, man? It's just wild, man. It's just crazy. It's fucking funny stuff. Yeah, it's really going out. But yeah, I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there. Shalom. Shalom.